Welcome to API Kitchen, where we cook up secure APIs. I'm confident stably, your chef de cuisine in this unique kitchen. Now, you may be wondering, what's cooking? This season, our recipes are focused on addressing API security issues at scale. So we'll dish out a real-world scenario of an API security issue, followed by a hearty serving of tactical solutions and robust security measures to protect your APIs. Now, close your eyes and imagine that in our API kitchen, we're serving up customer APIs for accessing personal account info. But right now, we're just using API keys for authentication. It's like we're cooking with only salt and forgetting the rest of the spice rack. So how would you suggest we address this security risk of APIs using API keys only for authentication, but with no proper authorization controls in place? Now, this is exactly how to solve this. Step 1, let's stir in advanced authentication flavors. Time to enrich our API dish with some sophisticated flavors. First, we'll fold in OAuth 2.0, like adding a secret spice blend that only those with the recipe can recreate. Then we'll whisk in OpenID Connect, giving our dish that extra kick to ensure our guests really are who they say they are. Step 2, we'll sprinkle in savvy authorization. In any kitchen, not everyone gets a peek at the secret sauce. By using role-based access control, which we call RBAC, we are assigning roles like sous chef or pastry chef to our users, giving them just the right amount of access. It's like making sure only those who need to know the secret ingredients do. Step 3, we taste the secure APIs. Let's give our newly secured APIs a taste test. We add a pinch of token verification, a dash of role validation, and there we have it, an API that is as secure as it is advertising. Judy Ngure will be joining us today at the virtual kitchen. Let's go hear what she has to say about fixing this security issue. Judy Ngure is a product security consultant specializing mostly with fintech companies, where her role is to build security around product, API specifically, and general enterprise security. Welcome, Judy. It's so good to have you in the virtual kitchen of the API kitchen.
Hi, I feel so famous right now. Thank you so much. All the way
Welcome.
254. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Judy, I'm sure you've come across APIs that employ API keys for authentication but lack suitable authorization restrictions. In your job advising organizations. Can you give us some thoughts on how you would remediate this? I wanted to share your thoughts on how to improve the security of these APIs in both situations where you have a fat budget and in more frugal settings where where there's a major budget limit. What would you do?
All right, thank you so much, Confidence. So let's start with, first of all, APIs do play a very critical role in today's day-to-day digital environment. So understanding how to build security around them will really help you also understand how to seamlessly integrate into other products and organizations. So security for APIs is everything for organization. We've had data breaches that were as a result of an API key here, an API key there that was left, or somebody found something and allow them access into the bigger picture of the organization. Okay, so security, for you to know how to build security for your APIs, I always have one simple rule: use API keys for authorization, not authentication. What do I mean? When I talk about, when we think about API keys, we think, this string of numbers that allow me to access into, a different kind of service, and you reuse the same API key now and then. It doesn't matter where you are, you're still having the same API key. 3 years down the line, it's still the same API key. So think around the fact that if somebody actually has the same API key, let's say you made a mistake and your API key somebody has an external hacker, how do you avoid problems later on? Yeah. So, and the API key is not expiring. So imagine this as an external entity. For me as a bug bounty hunter as well, I'd use the same API key to authenticate into the same application now and then. So if you can understand that that API key is what really builds security but also can be used against you, then understand that API keys should be used just to authorize you access into different services. But when it comes to actually accessing data and authenticating into that specific system, specific service, do not use an API key. Just using the API key, it will really not work for you. And this is because it just, rotation, you don't have companies really paying so much attention to API keys that they have given their customers. For them, as long as it can allow access into different services, nobody's really paying much attention to it. So that's always my first advice. Use API keys for authorization, not authentication.
That's such a very helpful tip. Very good tip. Thank you so much, Judy. My last question is, what is one underutilized API security best practice that you consider the salt of the earth? A basic yet potent aspect that may greatly improve an organization's security posture.
Okay. Actually, I'll answer this. Thanks, Confidence, for that question. I'll answer this as a bug bounty hunter. The only two ways we manage to exploit systems with API keys is because of two mistakes that most people do. One is leaving API keys in your source code. If you leave your API key in the source code and one way or another it will end up on GitLab, GitHub, and let me tell you, retrieving an API key on GitHub source files is the easiest thing. You don't even need to do, just script and find a specific pattern, and whatever tool you're using will actually provide you the API key there. And imagine now you having that API key and it also authenticates into the application. You might not even know who has your API key. So that's the first mistake people need to avoid. Do not leave your API keys in your source code. If you really need them in the source files, have them in a .env file, and then do not actually commit that .env files into your GitHub or GitLab. It just allows for you to actually build your product, but the source code itself is not available for external entities. The second mistake that most people do is what I said, using API keys for authentication rather than just authorization. Yeah, but I don't think I'll explain that again. Same concept. If I have your API key that never expires, I will probably reuse the same API key to authenticate, and I'll be in your system for years, and you never know that somebody actually has been in your system and is reusing your system for the same kind of malicious activity.
Thank you so much, Judy, for joining us today at the Virtual Kitchen. And that's how you secure an API in our kitchen. In the coming episodes, we'll be discussing even more API security issues and walking you through how to solve them. Remember to subscribe to CCNet TV and hit the notification bell so you don't miss new episodes of API Kitchen showing each Thursday. Until then, keep your kitchen clean and your APIs secure.